North Korean soldiers are likely dying in Putin's war on Ukraine, Korea says. South Korea. More North Korean troops could be deployed in the war, warns South Korean defense minister. Now, this is a very interesting article about how other countries are actually intervening and playing a part in the war between Russia and Ukraine, that actual government states are sending troops to, for example, gain experience. So this is quite an interesting topic. So the claim that the North Korea is sending troops to fight in Ukraine has been said by South Korea's defense minister, Kim Jong-un. And they said that on Thursday. Now, the quote here in English is, as Russia and North Korea have signed a mutual treaty as akin to a military alliance, the possibility of such deployment is highly likely. That's South Korea defense minister said that for the parliament in South Korea. So they're actually not saying definitively that it's the case that North Korea has military troops in Ukraine, but from at least from this statement, they're saying it's highly likely that that is taking place. And that would not surprise me at all, to be honest. There have been reports in the past that Iran also had troops in the Ukraine, in the Russian-controlled Ukraine, to like gain experience for their troops, like that they were like flying drones or something from Russian-occupied Ukraine, like, and that's like a way that enemy countries of Ukraine and like NATO in general can gain experience in war, is to send like but this is now of course both sides have gotten volunteers from around the world, but these are individuals that themselves choose to go there and fight for their own personal reasons, but that North Korea or Iran is actually sending troops into the conflict that is state-sponsored. So it's kind of like that they're actually joining the war on the side of Russia, which is completely different than an individual volunteer going there. So we don't know if these North Korean troops are actually being deployed on like the front line and actually fighting on the front against Ukraine, or if they're just if they're observing, like they're sending a few people to observe the war so that they can take notes of how they can conduct war in the future, or if they're sending actual combat troops. The statement from the South Korean military person here is quite vague, so we don't know exactly about that, and that is a very important distinction to make, I would say. So this also brings up an open question, like how should Ukraine or NATO act to this? Like, should Ukraine consider like if they find out that this is true, that North Korea is actually having troops inside of occupied Ukraine, should they consider North Korea now at war with them? Should they act differently towards them? Should they still pretend like they are not at war with North Korea? Or should they actually start considering North Korea as an enemy on the same level as Russia, since they have troops inside of their country? This is an interesting and open question. Like this is very debatable, and probably can't give a good answer to that right now. And should NATO actually consider North Korea at war with Ukraine as well? Like, should they sanction North Korea the same way as they're doing Russia? They're probably sanctioning them way more than Russia for now, to be honest. But like, for example, Iran, like in certain regards, Iran is not sanctioned the same as Russia is. So if they find out like that it was true that Iran actually had troops in Ukraine that were fighting, should they do the same sanctions on Iran as they had done on Russia? This is also an interesting question to ask. Now the South Korean defense chief, he continued in his speech that he said that we believe there have been injuries and fatalities among North Korean troops in Ukraine. So not only does he think they are actually in Ukraine, he actually thinks that they have actually gotten killed and injured in fighting in Ukraine. So this would either have to be on the front line, like I said before, or one of the many aerial attacks that Ukraine has conducted towards different parts of both inside of Russia and inside of occupied Ukraine that Russia controls. Now, if it's just observers that North Korea has sent that has accidentally gotten like injured and killed, then I would say that's probably not the same as declaring war on Ukraine. Like, because like NATO is probably doing exactly the same thing inside of Ukraine. They're sending a few people to observe, and so they can prepare their own militaries to the new modern warfare that we now see inside of Ukraine that we have never seen before, with the drones and now again combat that kind of looks like World War One style combat. The new reality that we see on the ground on the front line in Ukraine. Since North Korea haven't been at war since the Korean War in the 50s, like all the people that actually have military combat experience inside of North Korea are probably either dying or dead already. So this is obviously a good way for them to get combat experience and see how to conduct modern warfare now in the 21st century, especially now in the 20s in the 21st century, as it's completely different than before. And because of the diplomatic damage that Russia has put on itself by invading Ukraine, they only have a few friends left. So they want to keep those friends as close as possible. And one of those friends being North Korea, as there are only a few people that actually want to be around Russia anymore because of the invasion. Like, obviously it's a bad thing. So those few friends that Russia actually has left now are what has been called the Axis of Evil, or the New Axis, which contains the countries of Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran. Those are the 4 countries that I have seen. This experience can obviously be quite valuable for North Korea if they do decide to do anything with South Korea, as it is here. Of course, South Korea has the most intel on North Korea, as those are the people they are most worried about, since it's right on the border, authoritarian dictatorship that wants to unite Korea, obviously. So this is probably a valuable experience for the North Koreans if they actually do choose to do anything with the South Koreans, like a war action or anything like that. So tell me, what do you think about this? Do you think that North Korea actually has troops inside of Ukraine? Or do they just have it inside of Russia? Or do they have it actually inside of Ukraine, of Russian-occupied Ukraine? Or is it combat troops, actual combat troops that I want to get experience in? Or is it just observers and intel people and stuff like that to try to understand the situation so they can adapt their own military? So let me know what you think. This is quite an open question and there's no definitive answer. But my opinion would probably be that North Korea definitely has observers and high intelligence people and stuff like that inside of occupied Ukraine to be able to improve their military and get it into the 21st century, which they're probably lacking quite a bit in. If they have combat troops, my guess is probably yes. They probably have sent combat troops there, probably in the disguise of volunteers. Like, if you're actually from North Korea, is anything anyone does in North Korea voluntary? It's probably not, as North Korea is like a dystopia where they control everything you do, really. Especially outside of North Korea. Outside of North Korea, they know pretty much everything you do outside of North Korea. So the North Koreans that are outside of North Korea are people that have either escaped, are like political asylum, or that are people that are part of the government that they have sent out because they want intel or espionage or combat experience in this case, or anything like that. And this is obviously a good thing for Russia. It's beneficial for Russia, since they gain, if it is combat troops, then they gain more troops to send at Ukraine that are not their own troops, as it is a big political cost to lose your own citizens in a offensive war, especially. So, like, if a North Korean die, like, Russia cares even less than if it's a Russian. So that's just beneficial for Putin. Then he has more meat for the meat grinder. And he helps his friend in North Korea to gain combat experience and modernize his military. So that's it. thanks for watching, and have a good day. And comment if of any criticism you have, or any content you want to see in the future. Comment anything that are critical and not just insults, like some people have done before. So that's it. Have a good day. Bye bye.